I'm going through a very difficult life crisis. Things built up inside of me over a period of time. Anxiety, fear, a lot of fear, frustration, anger, feeling very upset and resentful about things that have happened. I'm doing my very best to let go. But I'm really struggling with a lot of social pressure that I'm experiencing from my dad. A father who has always meant well, who has always dedicated his time and his energy to making sure his babies, his children, grow up and be successful. The reality of my situation is quite depressing, and when I was growing up, it was very rare to see the kind of family circumstances that I grew up in, because autism was stigmatized very much in the 80s and 90s and in the 2000s. Certainly in the 2000s, I think there had been, more progressive views about how to treat students in school with autism. But in my educational experiences, I got put in remedial classes by my teachers and the principal and whatnot, which of course I don't attribute blame to them. How would they know? I mean, it was a different time, and they had to deal with many different types of students, and I had to make do. I had to make do, and I had to just make the best of my situation. And having to do that for so long caused a lot of frustration within me, because I felt like I had to keep a part of my personality, a very important part of my personality, my unique skills and traits. I felt like I had to hide those, to suppress them, because my external surroundings always seemed to be negatively impacted by them. Again, not a fault of my own per se, but I still had the responsibility of being doing good things. I had the responsibility to uphold my moral standards without putting others' moral standards down in a position where they feel threatened and they feel violated. And that is a challenge, a universal challenge that every human has to face. Let me describe in more detail what I'm talking about and what is causing me to feel this inordinate level of stress and anxiety. So back in 2017, I started going into a 12-step program called Debtors Anonymous. And I know they talk about, the whole principal anonymity thing, the level of press, radio, and films. But I'm only making this video and briefly describing you know, going to this meeting, because ultimately what I am doing is I am presenting a different perspective, different worldview, on subjects that, kind of have been hidden knowledge, undiscovered knowledge. So I started going into Debtors Anonymous in 2017, and I had been in so many other 12-step programs before that, and I never liked being in 12-step programs, but my feelings about my situation in these programs have evolved. I think still, even back then, I still thought, and even now I think, that the thing that helped me in being a part of these programs like Debtors Anonymous is that I was able to really confront the truth about myself, related to my situation at home and to my, diagnostic behaviors, and, being able to face who I really am head on, and to be faced and to be confronted by people who don't always understand, who many don't understand or care, have interest in spiritual matters, or matters that, are as deep and philosophical. I don't blame anybody in 12-step programs for their behavior, their the way they do things, and how they communicate with me. I mean, to the degree that they may not even know how to communicate with me because of the fact that my neurological behavior has not been something that has historically been understood. That said, I am still in Debtors Anonymous, and over the years, I have found the term addiction, I have found the term addiction to be a very problematic term, in the sense that me calling myself an addict is not accurate. Now, when you think about the dictionary definition of addiction, it means engaging in harmful behaviors, and it means that when you engage in destructive behaviors, and you can't stop engaging in these behaviors. For years, autism has been stigmatized, misunderstood. Behaviors behavioral traits that have been suppressed for so long, because the people who treat such issues or treat such behaviors, they want to make a profit, off of, capitalize off of these, these traits. What I'm aiming to describe and to talk about is extremely challenging, and so I am taking time to carefully articulate my ideas, as they are, extremely difficult to absorb. So, other than the 12-step program of Debtors Anonymous, I have been under a lot of social pressure from my dad to do these different, treatment programs, and this group therapy session that I'm currently in. I have been doing it for 5 years. I started it in 2016. At the time, I had just finished doing a group therapy treatment program for young men. And I didn't even like going to that group anyways. I mean, I should say it differently. I think that because I had been exposed to clinical therapy, group therapy, psychiatry, medication most of my life, a big chunk of my life, I became extremely frustrated by the fact that I did not get to experience the natural process of growing up and going after opportunities that kids in my generation growing up were able to experience as they were growing up. As early as when I was a child, I don't know, maybe between 8 and 11 years old, I got taken to a 12-step meeting by my dad. Now you gotta understand, my dad's been doing his addiction psychiatry practice for almost 40 years now. And he's been very successful at it, and people respect him for it. The thing is that parents aren't perfect. They aren't any more perfect than their kids. Parents make their own mistakes, and some parents take a little longer to learn from their mistakes in life. And this is a very unique and complicated situation that I'm dealing with, that my family's dealing with. So, anyway, I had to quit doing the group therapy. I had to quit because I had to stop because it was interfering with my mental health. I mean, in between, doing undergraduate coursework so I could begin graduate school, maintaining my household responsibilities in my apartment, going to work every day, and then, going to events at the Language Academy where I do my Hebrew teaching, where I had been doing my Hebrew teaching, but then that got interfered by the pandemic, and, it was just too much. And I was taking 2 courses, online courses at one time. I was studying the same way that I studied in college, my actual undergrad years. Reading a book, a textbook for hours, and not engaging in many social activities that would have helped enhance my learning capabilities. So I had to take some difficult steps, to get to a more mentally balanced place. So I am balanced very well, more balanced in most areas of my life. I engage in physical fitness. I go to the gym, and I go on the treadmill, and I lift weights, and I sit-ups and push-ups, and I go swimming. I also take my time when I'm walking somewhere, usually. Like, I go slowly, and sometimes I adjust my speed my pace of walking pace depending on, what I'm doing, or, where I am in my environment. It's just a sign of appreciating the little things, enjoying the simple pleasures of life, right? I am also working on my craft as a musician, piano playing, which has gotten a lot better in a short period of time. Of course, I've had a lot of practice before, so I've experienced, I feel like I've progressed very quickly. I mean, I guess I have, but it was a long process to get to this point. Composition, music composition, songwriting. I just started, writing my first song, and I feel pretty good about it. I used a lot of words that communicate a lot of really, really dense, intense anger and frustration and sadness, brokenness. And it has to do with the troubled relationship that I've had with my dad. It doesn't feel that much different than what John Lennon went through with his father. As far as being able to relate to the trauma, the anger and the frustration. Now, of course, no one, not even myself, can really know what John Lennon went through. But, you know, I can relate and understand his trajectory in life growing up in Liverpool, England, and living with his Aunt Mimi in Menlove Avenue. So basically, I have been pressured to do be in these social situations that do not directly meet my very specific social needs, and it is stressing me out, the thought of telling my dad how I really feel about going to this group therapy. This is all happening after, having experienced a tragic, difficult loss of a therapist that I'd seen for 5 years who had died during COVID. And she was elderly, so it wasn't like, she died of COVID. But it was still very sad and traumatic for me because it has very much to do with, growing up in the household of my dad. And this therapist, was connected to my dad. So you do see a pattern here in what I'm going with this, right? I am, specifically bringing up topics that need to be addressed. These issues that need to be addressed. So, I am in no way knocking my father's goodwill intentions, because he has them. I know he's a good person. I know that he's dedicated his life to his work for so many years. And I know that he and my mom raised us kids the best they could, and I know that they had to go through a very difficult set of trials and tribulations just to raise my older brother. Now, of course, I still have some self-forgiveness work that I have to do to, get to a point where my mind is so clear that when I face challenges that are, of a greater depth, I do not get so overwhelmed by them. But, no one can get to achieving their goals in life overnight. It cannot be done. So, I went to the academic advising office at the city colleges of Chicago and Harold Washington College so that I could register for, re-register for the course of astronomy, which I failed over the summer, and luckily I passed this other course, geography, with a C, and so I only have one course to work with. So I registered for astronomy again, and now I have to go through the process of paying for the courses, which is over $400, and I cannot pay for out of pocket because I don't have the kind of money to do it. My father agreed to pay my, graduate tuition. However, because of recent events, I am nervous, I am worried that he will refuse to pay for my graduate school from this point on because of the fact that because if I tell him that I quit, I had to stop group therapy because of, what it was doing to me, this is not going to be an easy task, and I've been working hard to come up with the words to tell him what I need to tell him. He's a difficult man to talk to, though, so I have to like I said, I have to carefully, very carefully voice my opinions and desires, and I have to tell him how I feel without violating his position, his reputation in his field. So one thing I started doing to try to, get started to resolve this issue is I have started to reach out to people, friends in the autism community, to ask about, and inquire about, organizations that, could potentially help me, make friends in the autism community. Because right now, I live in a situation where, I'm living, right, basically next door to my mom, and, I live in a dorm room, basically, and the people who live in it, a lot of them are, people affiliated with U Chicago in some way, like students and PhD, whatever, and it is hard for me to find the people that I vibe the most with. Now, for sure, I have enjoyed being around the people who have been available to me. It's just that now I have to take things a step further so that I can enhance my growth and fulfill, and grow personally and artistically. I know intuitively that I'm going to find a solution, and, I have, another day to, pay for my class before I, have to be dropped automatically. And I know it's not the end of the world if I don't end up taking the class this fall, but I really want to do it because I really do want to go to graduate school, and I really do want to do it in January this coming. But let's face reality here, people. I am in debt. I have student loans to pay off. Thankfully, it's just another year, but this is a very slow process, and I am working so hard to stay patient in this process. And I am in debt to my group therapist, who did not bill me correctly in a consistent manner, and so I owe more than $3,000. I got a bill last year that was totaled to more than $3,000, and I'm still paying it off in small increments. And it's such a pain in the ass because I'm a 33-year-old man who is working at a job that originally, or is intentionally designed for people who are high school and college students. And I am in the age bracket where conventionally individuals who are in their 30s are, working at jobs that, allow them to be financially independent because they can make enough money to be financially independent. So I'm not asking for pity, and I'm not, acting as a soundboard of misery. I don't want anybody's pity, because I am a strong human being. I am resilient, I am compassionate, I am respected, I am respectful, I am sensitive, I am very well educated, among many other qualities. The moment I start pitying myself is the moment where I do a lot of injustice and I ignore every possible quality that others have noticed about me for a long time, that now I am starting to see for myself. In saying all this, it is vital to my personal growth to keep doing what I'm doing at my job, though it is a job that, is frustrating to me because doing the same thing over and over again is overwhelming. For me, at the same time, at least I can make income, right? I couldn't do this before I got the job. I was unemployed for a year and a half, almost a year and a half. And I was very, 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 very unhappy with that situation. So once I got the job, I was overjoyed because for the first time in my life, I became able to make money. And making money doing a job is a sign of contributing to society. And that over time, as I continued to work my job, I found myself getting incredibly frustrated, over I started almost relatively quickly in my history. I just started to get really dissatisfied with the, a lot of the things about my job. And, over a long period of time, I've had to learn how to understand the work culture and how people think in the work culture and, how mainstream, societal jobs work, mainstream city jobs. And, it's been a very helpful learning experience. And I have no reason to believe that I'm going to be staying at this job indefinitely anymore, because though I used to feel that way, I have now grown a lot of I have grown so much in terms of my self-confidence level that there has come a point now where, where I can see a bigger picture. And this is beautiful. This is an amazing accomplishment. And it's true. I have impacted people in a lot of ways, in a positive way, more than I know. I don't know how much I've done this. It is something that I do naturally, and so, I naturally, kind of take it for granted. So, we're always growing up. We never stop growing. It is something that we do the rest of our lives. And I have cultivated a very strong, firm voice through all this therapy that I've done throughout my life. I have developed a voice that speaks out towards the autism community, the way that Dr. King spoke out on behalf of the black community in America, and how Gandhi spoke out for his people in India. And I'm doing the same kind of thing, except speaking out for people with autism. I guess I'm kind of doing similar work to Temple Grandin, but I think that I'm expounding upon it because she grew up in a different time when the stigma was, much, much, much deeper than, it is now. So I'm very proud. I'm very devoted to, the work that I'm doing, and extremely devoted to the kind of work that came before me, by people like Temple Grandin and Einstein and Madame Curie and Galileo, Copernicus, Mozart, Bach, Beethoven, Haydn, Handel, Brahms, all the geniuses of our time, our history, Da Vinci, of course. I stay true to my word, and I honor my word, And I can't give up, and I'm not going to. I am fighting the big fight, and I am going to win my war of financial independence, just like I won my war of physical independence from my mom. It's not over, guys. It's just beginning. Thank you for taking the time to watch this 30-minute video. Peace out, and love y'all.